This is the third of 3 informal techniques for assessing the validity of deductive arguments that we will review. This third technique consists of showing that an argument is valid because denying its conclusion and accepting the truth of the premises forces us to accept a contradiction, which is absurd. In formal languages, such as logic or mathematics, this technique is also known as the method of indirect proof. An argument is valid just in case it is impossible for all of its premises to be true and its conclusion false. So if an argument is valid, and if we assume that the conclusion is false and that all the premises are true, we will be forced to accept a contradiction. Here's how this technique is used. Consider the following argument. Either life ends at death or life continues after we die. If life ends at death, then we should strive to be morally good. If life continues after we die, we should strive to be morally good. Therefore, we should strive to be morally good. Let's show that the argument is valid by showing that if we deny the conclusion and accept the premises, we are forced to accept a contradiction. We begin by assuming that the conclusion is false. That is, that it is false that we should strive to be morally good. Now consider the first premise. In order for the first premise to be true, either the statement, life ends at death, is true, or the statement, life continues after we die, is true. Suppose this first premise is true because it is true that life ends at death. Now, if it is true that life ends at death, then in order for the second premise to be true, it must be true that we should strive to be morally good. Yet, we have assumed that the statement, we should strive to be morally good, is false. And that's absurd because the statement, we should strive to be morally good, cannot be both true and false. However, we have not yet shown that we are forced to accept an absurdity. After all, the first premise in the argument might be true because it is true that life continues after we die. However, if this statement is true, and the third premise is true, we can infer that the statement, we should strive to be morally good, must also be true. Yet, we started by assuming that it is false that we should strive to be morally good, so again, we are led to an absurdity. We have exhausted all possibilities. Assuming the negation of the conclusion forces us to accept a contradiction, that we should both strive to be morally good and not strive to be morally good. So the original argument is valid.